This all seems to be about employee pay in some ways and taxes upon that.
Yeah, in some ways, Spotify is a victim of its own success. They've basically said that because they've been doing so well in the stock market, they've had to pay out a lot more than they anticipated to employees for payroll taxes and whatnot. And so that ended up in a loss in earnings per share.
There's a lot of earnings mechanics and financial wizardry around this kind of stuff. Is there a kind of core Spotify story, Ashley, of how streaming audio is going for them and maybe a little bit about their video strategy as well?
Yeah, so Spotify keeps adding subscribers, users, they keep growing every single quarter. It's pretty remarkable. But what's sort of been a challenge for them is figuring out what their next verticals are and seeing that through successfully. So they've really made a push for advertising. That hasn't really panned out. They said now they are going to be kind of rethinking that approach with advertising. Their head of advertising actually stepped down yesterday. He's taking a job at DoorDash. So they sort of suggested that this is going to be a direction that they're going to change course. And then they're making a very concentrated push into video. And on today's earnings call, they said, one of their co-presidents said that this is, a very exciting opportunity, but it's not a necessary opportunity. So I think they're still kind of figuring out where they want to move next.
It's interesting that the weak dollar, of course, plays into all of this, and the third quarter forecast not looking that pretty either. Ultimately, they are building more and more users. As they say, it's sort of growing like a weed. So that's got to be a positive momentum story for many in the longer term.
Yeah, I think that's how they're trying to position this, is that in the long term, they seem very bullish, they're excited, they feel like they've had a really great product. It's just these short-term issues that they're kind of dealing with, and investors will see how they're feeling about it.
The stock's down almost 11%, which intraday is the biggest drop since early April. But if it closed there, it would be the biggest drop since June of 2023. So it's a strong reaction. I'm going to ask you something I ask you every single quarter, because this is how I listen to podcasts. How is Spotify doing in podcasts?
They've really pivoted into video podcasts, and they've been trying to recruit more video creators to the platform. So they really have not focused on these audio podcasts anymore. I've reported quite a bit on how this initiative is going for them. They're still missing quite a few of the largest podcasters on that service for video, but they're still pushing, they're still trying.
Where is the audience for them? Or where's the growth story, at least?
Seems like it's developing markets,
yeah.
But then also just trying to get people to spend more time on the platform, watch these videos, which they compensate based on consumption rather than ads. They're really trying to get people to spend more time through audiobooks and maybe up-level them to different tiers of subscriptions. So I think that's where they're eyeing some possible growth.